Do you love black people?
Not like I don't love any group of people because like, I don't love white people or black people. There are people that I like and there are people that I don't like.
Do you love black people?
I don't understand I don't love like groups of people that look a certain way, no.
Do you love black people?
I don't love groups of people that look a certain way.
I asked you about black people. Do you love black people?
Like a particular black person or certain types of black people?
Do you love black people?
Sure, I love black people.
Wow.
Gentlemen, we got him.
When did you get to think that systemic racism isn't about race, but about class? Dude, this is why I hate having conversations with people that are so extremely dug on one area, because then people get a really bad impression of what I think. I think that there are systemic issues that intersect with race and class. Both of them are very important, but everybody wants to co-opt it and make it so that it's all about their issue. So last night, everybody wanted to make it about, well, not everybody, but some of the people on the panel wanted to make it so that race was like the biggest factor. But then like if you talk to other people like lefties or conservatives sometimes, it's like, oh no, class is the only thing that matters. Like, I'm just saying that there's like an intersection between these things. And it depends on what you're talking about. And anytime you take like one thing to explain everything in society, it's probably gonna be like way too simplistic. And then you're not gonna be able to solve any problems because you're being too simplistic how you're looking at it. The older I get, the more I realize that ultimately I'm simply anti-populism and by effect anti-extremism. It's a big meme, but the horseshoe theory isn't far off, and I've seen it for centuries. And we've seen it for centuries. Oh, I thought you were like a vampire. We've seen it for centuries. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. The populist is like pretty brain rotty, unfortunately. And I think that like, I'm trying to hammer this home more so that it doesn't seem like I'm just like a grumpy old guy like screaming against people that are trying to be populist or whatever. The thing that hurts the most about all of these types of issues is I think that you inhibit your ability to fix anything when your analysis is off. Who's committing more crimes, okay? The answer to this should be black people, because black people in the United States have had a history of oppression and currently are the most socioeconomically group of people, largely broadly speaking, in the United States. Now, this breaks down among more specific lines. Are you a black immigrant versus like an African American? Of course. However, okay, this is something that's important to recognize. For us to simply just hand wave all this away and to be like, oh, well, actually, all the crimes that are committed by every community is just the same. It's actually just the same. It's all just like the police fudging numbers. Oh, well, in that case, well, helping any black communities for like educational institutions or helping anybody in terms of like better housing. Like, I guess everybody just commits crime, right? You're losing the plot when you're getting into this world. It's like, oh, well, everybody acts the same. That's obviously not the case. And we know that because being socioeconomically will have a ton of negative impacts on you. Number one. Number two, so as an example, I hate that I'm bringing this up as an example. I hope I don't hold a whole new bag of worms. I don't know how controversial this is, but another really good example of losing the plot, right? Why don't black people, make it into higher education? It must just be because of like racist policies when it comes to putting people in school. So what happened historically in the United States?
Black women are the most enrolled.
Okay. Sure. So historically, what was our big answer to that? It was affirmative action. And in a lot of ways, affirmative action has been a tremendous failure because we've realized, okay, hold on, just taking people that wouldn't otherwise test into a school and throwing them there isn't actually the best way to solve these problems, because it's not just one racist person saying, no black people in our school. It's actually a way more multifaceted issue. And that's why in places like in California, where they got rid of affirmative action, where you had places where the enrollment of black students dropped in half, the graduation rates and absolute numbers of black students was unchanged, because a lot of the people that didn't test in anyway that would have gone in via affirmative action would have failed out anyways, which has a whole bunch of other negative effects. If we blame everything on race instead of taking a broader look at things, and then we implement policies that are along those lines, we end up, one, hurting the people that we need to help, and then two, we don't have any idea what we actually need to do in society to help anybody. And I'm drawing from my music background on this a lot. So like I would have one thing that our conductor would do, he would stress so often, right? Music is about hearing things. And if you've got a problem, you can't fix it unless you can hear it, right? So sometimes like maybe we play through a section and he's like, hold on. And he'll be like, he might say like trombones. Was there a problem there? And if people weren't listening, they'd be like, I don't know. It's like, all right, well, let's play it again. And then you might play it again. And if the problem's there, you'll be like, stop. It's like, okay, well, what's the problem? It's like, okay, well, somebody is, they're playing sloppy, or somebody's out of tune, or somebody's, there'll be a problem. It's like, okay, cool. Now that we've heard it, and only now that we've heard it, now we can take steps to fix it and address it. But if you can't hear the problem, if you can't hear that there's a problem, how the are you gonna fix it? You don't even know, one, you don't even know that there is a problem to fix, and two, you don't know how to fix it if you can't begin to identify it. And I think that lesson from music applies like triply so, like exactly so to real life. If you can't see problems, or if you can't identify them, you can't even begin to fix them. You have to acknowledge that they're real, then you have to be able to see them accurately before you can even begin to start to work on them. There are problems in black communities where like you have this, and some of the black people on the podcast, I think we're even saying this as much. You do have problems in black communities where like it's seen as like a status symbol that you're able to like date or marry a white woman. That's like you made it, you got out, you're dating a white woman, congratulations. Like that is a real problem. And it's something that's like worth talking about and worth addressing. But man, to run to the other extreme of like, I'm only gonna date black people because we need a shared oppression to like, I don't know, his music talks to Destiny. I like Fnatic, I think he's a funny guy, I think he's a cool guy, even though I think he rambles a bit, but but yeah, that's just some shit, I don't think I can get on board with it. That's just way too much for me. Black people are genetically superior, Destiny, it's a fact. That was the legendary guy too. I wish I would have been there for that part, but.
Now, genetically, white people are inferior to black people. That's just a fact, genetically.
What about picking a partner because of a shared culture, i.e. same language, ethnicity, religion, etc., etc.? That's fine. And it might be the fact, it might be the case that the only people that end up sharing those particular things are people of a certain race. That might be the case. In which case, sure, that's fine. But I think there's a big difference between saying that versus I'm only going to date people of a certain race, right? Like, it might be that I only want to date, maybe I only want to date women that like really love mayonnaise and really love riding horses. And the way that that works out is it's like 99% of my potential dating pool is going to be comprised of white women, right? Maybe that's the case, but there's a difference between saying that versus being like, I'm only going to date white women and nobody else, right? Like that's just like, I don't know, that's just so horseshoed to me. We've gone so far around. We've gone like so far around where I'm like, it's like, I hate that I keep bringing up this video. I hate it. But the guy was actually saying this.
Privilege to be white. Ask him about interracial dating.
All I said is that black men who date white women have internalized racism, and white men that date ethnic women are fetishizing them.
Guys against.
This is literally the argument the guy was giving. He was like, oh, you're fetishizing black women when you date them. Like, wait, what?
Because you probably fetishize black women.
I don't fetishize, first of all.
This other guy, Destiny, he has a fetishization for black women.
No, what the f is happening? Oh my God, dude. I don't know. He totally said that? Wait, I don't know if you're joking. He actually unironically did say that. He literally said that word for word. He said that I'm fetishizing black women. Did anyone ever ask if mixed race women were acceptable because they have a different experience or race inside? I don't know. That, and then another thing that Fnatic was saying, and honest to God, I feel like Fnatic is not that committed to his position. It feels like something he's kind of recently arrived at and thought about. I feel like he could be moved off of it. But like, something that was really sad, and not really sad, because to be completely honest, I'm very disconnected from it. I don't have any of these experiences, right? A lot of what Fnatic was saying sounded really, really, really shitty to concerning like mixed race people. When he was saying things like, oh, well, like black history and culture and the black experience are really important to me, so that's why I can only date a black woman because she's like the only person that will understand that, and like, you know, people from mixed race households is different. It's like, damn, I don't know, man. That like hyperfixation seemed like, I think there was a lot to explore there, and I kind of asked him a couple questions, but we could never go hard on like one point. Like that was just like a really, really kind of strange framing as well. I don't know, man. I didn't think I was gonna be like talking to people on the left that were like for interracial dating, like exclusively, but not to mention anytime you started to walk down anything, he would start screaming. That's what he said. Oh yeah, and I kept trying to understand. And I think legitimately, I think there were probably a few points where maybe I was attributing something to him that he didn't say, maybe. But there were three distinctly different visions that were being presented on that show between the legendary guy who was fucking crazy, Fnatic, who was saying a lot of stuff I disagree with, and then Gambit, who, from everything I've heard of him on panel, I think that me and Gambit probably agree on almost everything. It sounds like he's like a fairly moderate voice. But yeah, but it was weird because like, Fnatic kept like stepping up to defend like other people or explain like other people, but the other people he was like legendary was like fucking insane. So I wasn't sure 100% like what the fuck his view was. I don't know. Fnatic softened at the end. Destiny, when he said similar likes would be more important. Well, kind of. I mean, I don't know. Didn't Gambit keep calling Destiny white supremacist? No, that was the legendary guy.
You are a
Reported-
white supremacist.
I'm muting.
No.
Wasn't Gamma calling Destiny a conservative in chat? Well, he means about it because like I legitimately thought, I think because every time I've seen Gambit on those panels, it's always him arguing against like extremely crazy left-leaning people. Every time I've seen him. So I thought for a second, I was like, maybe he's like the conservative black guy that they bring on here. Like he fills out that slide. Because I just assumed, because he was always arguing against like very left-leaning people. So I think one day when I came on, I asked him, I was like, wait, I thought you were conservative or whatever. And he laughed and he was like, no, I'm not fucking conservative. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I legitimately thought that. I really don't get why the fanatic dude isn't a black nationalist who believes how there's a nice for black children to thrive. I don't know. He's saying that like conditions could change and shit in the future, so it wouldn't be necessary or something. So. I think you were pushing back a bit on the war of drugs being racial motivated yesterday. I think historically 100% was. Sure. So like, if you want to talk about like the origins of like, is the war on drugs like racial motivated? Like race played a big part in that for a lot of people, for sure, of course. There are a lot of systems that are set up in ways that favor white people. Absolutely. Even if they don't intend to. I agree with all of that. But I think that phrasing it the way that you did is a lot better and gives us a much more insight into reality than just saying it's all white supremacy. That's all I'm saying, okay? The only problem I have is that when you frame all of it and just say it's racism or racial biases, there's two huge problems happen. One is just descriptively, we're not accurately describing what's happening in reality. But two, the really big problem is we can never, ever, ever, ever fucking fix any fucking problem in this country when everybody is acting like the only reason why we have problems with race is because of racist people. It's like everybody fucking forgot what the fuck systemic racism actually meant. Like the whole point of systemically racist structures is that they persevere and exist independent of any racial actors. The whole point.
That's along my point.
What? Yes.
I'm telling you that this policy was
disagree.
racist, regardless of people not being racist. You're agreeing with me.
No, I do agree with that. But I don't like it when it's phrased as just saying it's just racism or white supremacy. Because what happens is one, people that exist on the ground and know conservatives automatically assume that you're full of shit, because in a way you are, because there are a lot of people that support these types of programs that aren't racist. And then when you have this huge disconnect with reality, when you're starting to describe, like, for instance, and I don't know if I'm opening a can of worms, but when you start saying shit like, everybody that supports the police hates black people, everybody that's against ACAB hates black people, everybody that's against defund the police or what happened? I understand what you're saying, okay? But I'm saying that when these are the like majority talking points, you're so disconnected from reality, not you in particular, I'm sorry, but like the movements of people to say this, that now you lose the plot and nobody follows your arguments anymore because everybody's like, well, wait, hold on. Listen, if you and I were talking in a room and it was just you and me, and you were to say like, I think that like a lot of the drug war and a lot of that shit is like, has to do with like fucking racist shit, I would probably just say, yeah. I would probably just agree with you. But it's not just you and me talking, right? There's audiences, and I think that you have to be really careful with how you discuss a lot of these things, because when you start veering off the lived reality and the knowledge that people have, like, well, hold on, wait, I know a lot of conservative people, they don't like hate black people, or like, I have a lot of black friends and they support shit like this, right? You lose everybody, and it's all.
We enter these conversations by saying this is racist, and that's the end of the conversation, because then it gets caught up in you fighting with people who go, no, it's not racist. No, just be more specific. I understand you can't do that on Twitter, but here we have a little space for back and forth.
But there are other factors as well. I don't know how to quantify what was like the bigger one, but like, because I did a lot of reading on that crime bill stuff, because I had ideas about that crime bill that were pretty in line with like the Bernie Sanders crowd until I started to do more reading on it. And I started to get a better understanding of like, how did the crime bill pass, right? Like, where was the big blowback from the crime bill? Because it seems like everybody hates it now. But like back in the day, like thoughts and feelings on crime, like it's so weird, but like a lot of black community leaders were incredibly stressed because their communities were being fucking ravaged by crack cocaine. Okay, it wasn't powder cocaine that was destroying a lot of these communities, and there were a lot of black people. People seem to think that like, I don't know, but like black communities have different ideas and opinions about how things should be addressed, and how, like, a really good example of this, a more modern example of this. Well, I don't know if it's a good example anymore, but Bill Cosby has, I think it's called like the pound cake speech. I don't remember where he was speaking at, but basically it was about some little boy had gotten shot and killed by a cop because he'd stolen some cake. It was really, really, really stupid. It was a really dumb thing. The cop shouldn't have killed the kid. It was really fucked. However, like, I think Bill Cosby in talking in that speech was like, why does the black community allow our kids to be thieves and blah, 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 blah. Like, why don't we do more to take care of ourselves? Why are we waiting for white people to fix all our problems? Now, regardless of what you think about Bill Cosby, that speech like stirred up a lot of controversy. You've got like a lot of people that will take different sides of that argument in terms of like who bears the responsibility for fixing black communities. You know, should you wait on, you know, government action? Should you do some combination, right? There's a really mixed bag of like how you address that stuff. So when you look at something like, I'm just saying to just have a little bit more of a flesh out view. When you look at something like, why are the sentencing charges so different on crack cocaine and powder cocaine, right? Is race like a fact, or is race a factor? Like, yeah, I'm sure, maybe to some extent, of course it is. But you also can't ignore the fact that powder cocaine wasn't destroying neighborhoods all over the country. It just wasn't. Powder cocaine just isn't consumed like that. It's too expensive. It's not usually cut with the same shit that crack is. It's not usually as available. Like it just doesn't work that way. So it's not that surprising, even if we were to remove all of the other factors, all the race factors, and it was only white people, blah, 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 you'd probably still see like people disproportionately crack down, no pun intended, on crack cocaine because of the effects that it has on neighborhoods. That's my guess. It's probably a pretty good guess. Is there a reason why you weren't pushing back on the CIA flooding neighborhoods with crack? I've heard the claim mostly from Kanye. I don't know. It's just something I need to. I'm just not well read enough on it to have a strong opinion on it. It sounds like it's probably not true, or it sounds like it probably happened. It probably sounds like there were some cops or some CIA people that did some dumb shit once related to it. But to say that, like, I don't know if they were seriously going to try to claim that all the crack in all the black neighborhoods literally just came from the CIA. That's probably not true. But yeah. Black nationalists, for some reason, are really stupid and are able to hide behind social values, and criticism. Well, not. I mean, I'll fight with black nationalists all day. I don't care. But it's always going to be like a big optics loss, I think, because you always just look bad as a white person arguing against a black person like that. It's just kind of annoying. But remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.
Amazing! Amazing.
Amazing.